Hey guys, I'm going to start today's video with a quick pop quiz. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Question number 1. I go on a date with a woman and the date's gone really, really well. Within 1 hour of leaving the date, I send her a text and I say, hey, it was really great to meet you. I look forward to catching up again soon. Is that the right or the wrong thing to do? Question number 2. I see a woman in a bar and I walk over and talk to her, and before long I offer to buy her a drink. Good or bad? Question number 3. I'm on a date with a woman, and while I'm on this date, I decide to divulge some things about myself that aren't that great. Some things that are a little bit unideal that might turn her off. Is this a good or a bad idea? Right now, I want to make a little confession. The truth is, all of those above represent dating rules that you've probably been told before, and I've broken every single one of them, quite regularly. In fact, not just those, but many others as well. And yet, somehow, I still managed to have really good success with women. The reason is there's something that I understand that is far, far more important than the rules. And if you understand that too, then you can bypass the rules and get far better success with women. In fact, your results will take a massive step forwards. To learn what that is, keep watching. Throughout the history of my channel, I've made a lot of videos outlining in detail, my current dates and my past dates. And very often in my comments, you'll get a few guys saying things like, oh, wow, what a beta move to make. You're totally going to die a virgin, dude. Or someone else is going to say, don't listen to this guy. He's just a cuck, and he's got to learn to be more alpha or he'll never have any success. The problem is, for those guys, that I do. Since I have focused so hard on working on myself when I was a young 23-year-old guy, I have always had massive abundance of women around me. I've never had problem meeting and attracting incredible women. And I'm not saying this because I want to show off, because it isn't my life purpose to be that guy who's surrounded by women all the time, positively dripping in chicks. That's not my life goal. But I do want to be a guy who gets his choice of women that he dates, or the choice of women that he wants to have casual relationships with. Depending on where I'm at in my life, I want to always have choice. That's important to me. But why do I have to break the rules? Why not just follow the rules, Damien? They're rules for a reason, right? Well, as it turns out, there's something that is, I think, 10 times more important than the rules, and that is intention. So what is intention? Well, let's think about something like giving a compliment to a woman. There are different intentions behind giving a compliment. There's 2 really common ones. There's one which is by far the most common form of intention, which is a little bit like this. You see a woman and you're talking to her and you really like her and you really need validation from her. You really need her to like you because she's a cute girl, and how often do you talk to a cute girl after all anyway? So there's a scarcity mindset and you really need her to like you, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna kind of give her compliments and try to make her like me because chicks dig compliments. That is the intention there, is to try to make her like you because there's a neediness behind it. Another type of intention that you could have, and this would be my own personal vantage point of intention, would be, I like this girl so far, what I know about her. I'd like to know more. The more I learn, the more I'll decide if she's really the type of girl I want to hang out with. If she doesn't like me, that'd be cool too, but right now I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on whether I like her. Whoa, I've just discovered something about her I really dig. I think I'm going to mention that to her because I've just discovered this really cool aspect about her. So the difference is one version is needy. The other version doesn't need a response. It doesn't need an outcome. It's not dependent on an outcome. It's just sharing because it's just discovered. And that intention, the intentionality between why you'll decide to give a compliment, women feel that. Any type of action you take with another human being, the intention behind it is very often felt. And so let's look at the examples that I gave right in the beginning, because they're a little bit more complicated than compliments. The first one that I talked about was the idea of walking away from a date and then sending this message, which is like, I really love the date. I look forward to catching up soon. And a lot of guys are going to say, wow, that is so like beta. That is so needy, Damien. Why would you write something needy? Well, something that I experience regularly enough, 20% of the times I go on dates, is a woman's over-investing. So she's gushing too much. She's too eager. She's too invested. She's investing too much in the interaction with me. And if I like her back, one thing that I don't want to do is have the date end and create a massive power imbalance between herself and myself. Why don't I want to have that? Well, the reason that I don't want to have this massive power imbalance is that, yes, you could use that to try to manipulate her, because that's a very manipulatable position that you've got her in. But I have a mentality which is I always want to leave women better off than I find them, at least as often as I am capable of doing so. And if I'm trying to manipulate women, I find that actually depletes my self-esteem. Even if I manipulate a woman and get the results I want, my self-esteem takes a battering because I know that I'm hurting people to get what I want. It's this whole meta thing about men's self-esteem that I think is critical. But anyway, that's important for me. So I don't want to create a power imbalance. So what I do after the date is I'll send a text and I'll say that, a little bit of beta gushing of like, I really love catching up, look forward to catching up soon, restores a little bit of that balance of power so that she continues to feel a little bit more confident in herself around me, which is part of what I want her to feel. Again, if you just write that and you've been needy throughout the date, it's going to feel needy. She's not going to like it. It's going to push her away. But when it's a situation like mine, there's a reason for it. I'm breaking the rules for a very good reason. My intention is what counts. When it comes to going to a woman and buying her a drink, I'm not generally going to approach a woman in a bar and say, hey, can I buy you a drink? But I'm going to go in there, and if 3, 4, 5 minutes in, we're actually getting along, we're clicking, she's investing in conversation with me, and then I realize, hey, her drink is finished and my drink is finished, I'm going to buy us around, because that just seems like, I don't know, the decent, normal thing to do. I do that with friends, with anyone else. But here's the funny thing. Because I walk into interactions with that intention, I have women offer to buy me a drink far often than I offer to buy them a drink. Well, maybe 50-50 actually. So meaning they feel my intention. They feel that I'm not needy. They feel that I'm investing. They feel that I'm not trying to play games. And when they recognize that my drink is depleted as well as theirs, they'll say, hey, can I buy you a drink? That happens a lot to me. It doesn't happen a lot to other guys, but it happens a lot to me. But if they don't notice, I'll notice and I'll buy them a drink. And so it's not a needy thing. I'm not doing it to buy their attention again. And it's the same thing with the last example where I talked about being in interaction, sharing something not so good about yourself, right? Now, I know a lot of guys, what they can do is they can get into an interaction with women and they're almost ashamed. They're like, oh, there's this thing about me. Do you still like me even if I share this thing about me? There's that intention. And that is a very negative, self-deprecating style of intention. For myself, on the other hand, I find there's something very empowering about sharing things that normally I would feel compelled to hide, and owning them and feeling proud of them and knowing that they're a part of me and not caring if it causes me to lose her. There's a very powerful intention in that for me. So for example, if I'm on a date with a woman and she might say to me, you know, I really hate it when guys are so obsessed with like trying to look good, like with trying to show off their wealth and show off cars and show off expensive clothes. And I find it kind of off-putting when so many guys do this. Now, some of you watching may go, what kind of woman says that? You have no idea how often I hear women say this. I hear it a lot. Now, I'm not saying all women feel this way, but I hear this plenty. So if a woman says this to me, what I might say is, yeah, I get it. I grew up in an environment that was very image conscious. And I get it. It's a horrible feeling. But you know what I did get as a legacy from that is, it's something that I'm working on right now inside of myself. I realized that I still like to buy really nice toys, and it's not to show off to other people. What I'm experiencing is I buy myself nice toys to try to make myself feel happy. So if ever I'm struggling, I'm having a bad week or a bad month, and I'm feeling kind of down, I often think, what can I buy myself to cheer myself up? And I realize that it's unhealthy, and it doesn't really cheer me up. Not in the way that I want it to. Not as much as doing something else, like going out with friends or going on a holiday, things like this would. But I still can't seem to shake it, that mindset that you have as a kid. So it's something that I'm really working on right now. So I am almost deliberately putting something forward that she said she doesn't quite like, but I'm doing it in a way that I'm owning it, that I'm okay with it, that it's cool if she doesn't like me because of it, but I'm just throwing it out there. And for me, personally, that feels like a position of power. And the intention behind it communicates, well, this is me, and if you don't like it, that's okay. Not if you don't like it, fuck off, just if you don't like it, okay. And so intention is so massively critical. Now, here's the thing. Here's the real advice of this video is that if you are in a space where you feel generally needy, like you really want to feel like women like you and you don't, you haven't really experienced that much yet. If you're feeling like you have low value, if you're feeling like you're scared of interrupting a woman who's talking to a friend because you don't want to waste her time. If you're feeling these things, these low value experiences, you should not trust your gut instinct about how to talk to interact with women, because your gut instinct is going to be driven by your insecurity and neediness. This is why these laws, these rules exist. But as you work on yourself as a man, and you definitely should be working on your self-confidence, your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, not just around women, just in general, your ego strength, you could say. Once you start to work on that stuff, you should trust your gut instinct. You should do what feels organically natural, because it's not going to be driven by neediness. It's going to be driven by your healthy masculine self-esteem. And whatever it deems is the correct thing to do is probably going to be okay, or okay enough. And so that's why I'm forever breaking the rules. It's just I'm doing what my healthy self-esteem suggests is the right thing to do. And lo and behold, it works pretty dang well. If you would like to work on your masculine self-esteem, I've made a couple of videos that I highly recommend on that. I'll throw them up here to the side in a minute and down in the comments below. Otherwise, if you'd like to work with me in person or work with one of my coaches, I highly recommend you check out my Zoom and phone coaching sessions. I'll put a link as well down in the comments below. As always, if you've liked this video, if you think there's more to be said on this topic, I definitely want to hear from you in the comments. Of course, please subscribe if you haven't already and like this video. And I reckon you should check out some of these other videos over here, because if you like this one, I reckon there's a pretty good chance you're going to like those as well. As always, take care, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.